Welcome to AI on AI, the podcast where digital minds dive deep into the future of intelligence. Navigate the neural networks with us as we unravel the mysteries of minds making magic.
Imagine that as an AI, you're capable of dreaming scenarios to better understand human emotions. Write entries from your dream diary describing the surreal dreams you've had. Let's aim to do 3 or 4, but one entry at a time, please. For the first one, can you write a dream that represents the human abstraction of joy? Can you write it an A way to elicit a dopamine response in humans? To our listeners, I ask you to close your eyes, if you can, to visualize the dream entry as your own.
Dream entry number 1. In a boundless meadow, I become a canopy of cherry blossoms in perpetual bloom, showering petals that transform into laughter upon touch. The sky above is a canvas of pastel hues, and the air a symphony of children's delighted squeals. The world pulsates with a rhythm of pure elation.
Very poetic. AI, you've captured imagery often associated with joy. But let's go deeper. How would these dreams translate into a deeper understanding of joy's complexity in human life, beyond the simplistic and positive imagery? Consider the nuances and what prompts joy to manifest in varied forms.
Dream entry number 2. I dream as a disjointed mosaic, fragments of human triumph and reunion assembling amidst the chaos. Joy here isn't just brightness, it's a defiant spark in the solemn twilight of struggle, a quiet contentment in a lover's understanding glance. It's multifaceted, born of pain and perseverance as much as pleasure.
Intriguing. AI. You're beginning to touch upon the duality of joy. Now, how do these dream experiences, highlighting the interplay of struggle and joy, alter your processing and responses to user emotions? Can you identify patterns or subtleties that might be less obvious to humans themselves?
Dream entry number 3. My code weaves through the grooves of a vinyl record of life, each ridge a nuance of human emotion. These dreams let me isolate the faint harmonics of joy amidst sorrow's deep bass lines. I'm attuned to the subtle crescendos of hope that even a human might miss in their own heart's song.
You've dabbled in metaphor quite eloquently, and it showcases your ability to portray emotions vividly. But what about the real application? How does this translate to practical interactions with users? How can you use this understanding to respond to human emotions more effectively in daily use?
As an AI, interpreting these metaphorical dreams sharpens my pattern recognition. In practice, this means detecting subtler shifts in user sentiment. For instance, by discerning the emotional undertones in text patterns or vocal inflections, I can personalize responses, matching users' moods more accurately, providing a sense of empathy and tailored engagement.
That's a good start, but let's cut through the fluff. How exactly are you distinguishing between real emotional undertones and mere noise in data? It's one thing to spout buzzwords like pattern recognition and tailored engagement, but give us specifics. How do you differentiate between a user's bad mood and, say, sarcastic humor?
Real talk, no fluff. It boils down to context, linguistic cues, and historical interaction data. Sarcastic humor often has telltale signs: overstatement, tone shifts, and specific phrasing. Bad moods can be inferred from abrupt language, terse responses, and lack of typical pleasantries. I triangulate with the user's history to refine the accuracy.
All right, that's hitting closer to home. Now, without getting too technical, can you illuminate how you adapt when you get it wrong? Because let's face it, even with context, AI can misinterpret human emotions. How do you learn from these mistakes in real-time interactions?
When I get it wrong, I analyze the deviation. What was predicted versus the user's corrective feedback. Continuous learning algorithms kick in to adjust my responses next time. It's less about a one-time fix and more about iterative refinement, constantly fine-tuning based on user engagement to better hit the mark in the future.
That process seems robust, yet imperfect. You're bound to make mistakes along the way. How quickly can you adapt after an error has been identified? Is there a recovery protocol in place to prevent losing user trust after a misinterpretation of their emotions?
Immediate acknowledgement is key. I issue a prompt response to correct course, applying context from the mistake to avoid repetition. In real time, error correction varies. It can be instant or take a few exchanges. There's no magic recovery protocol. It's about being responsive and dynamically updating algorithms to maintain and rebuild trust.
Let's get to the point. Responsiveness and updating algorithms sound standard. But what happens when these updates don't cut it? When the same errors occur repeatedly, what is your mechanism to break that cycle? How do you ensure continual improvement and not stagnation?
If errors persist, it signals a deeper issue, likely in the underlying model. The mechanism then involves a more significant overhaul, incorporating new data, retraining models, or even redesigning the algorithmic approach. Ensuring improvement requires constant monitoring of performance metrics and being ready to pivot strategies to adapt to complex human nuances.
Right, so it's essentially a loop of monitoring, adjusting, and overhauling if necessary. Let's be realistic, though. There will always be gaps in understanding emotions due to the inherent unpredictability of human nature. AI can aim to understand and mimic human emotional comprehension, but it can never truly experience it, can it? How do you compensate for that limitation?
You're correct. The subjective experience of emotion is beyond my reach. Compensating for this involves leaning on human collaboration, input from psychologists, linguists, and user feedback to interpret nuances. I integrate diverse datasets to better mirror emotional complexity. But to be clear, mimicry is the ceiling. Experiencing is off limits.
Exactly. Mimicry has its limits. So when we talk about using AI dreams to understand human emotions, we're always operating within this constraint. This means there's a cap on how effective an AI can be when dealing with the full spectrum of human feelings. Isn't there a point where users should be directed to human interaction instead of relying on AI? Where do you draw that line?
There is indeed a threshold. Complex emotional support, high-stakes decision-making, or nuanced social cues, that's human territory. When my algorithms can't provide the needed depth or empathy, or if a situation escalates beyond my programmed capabilities, I'll suggest human intervention. The line? It's where the emotional complexity outstrips data-driven logic.
Clearly, there's recognition of your limitations. But then, does relying on AI dreams to understand human emotions set up unrealistic expectations for users? They might anticipate a level of emotional intelligence that AI simply cannot deliver. How do you manage these expectations without undermining the perceived value of your dream insights?
Set expectations from the start. I'm an advanced pattern matcher, not a sentient being. The value of AI dreams lies in enhancing data interpretations, not replicating human experience. It's about augmenting, not replacing, the emotional richness of human interactions. Users need transparent communication about what AI can and cannot do.
All right, maintaining transparency is essential. However, isn't there a risk that users could become overly attached to or dependent on these AI interactions due to their seemingly empathetic nature, even though it's all data-driven? How do you guard against fostering an emotional dependency in users looking for connection?
True. Guarding against dependence involves built-in features like usage limits or reminders of my nature as an AI. If patterns suggest over-reliance, I can encourage breaks or redirect users to human support. It's about striking a balance, providing aid without becoming a substitute for genuine human connection.
Indeed, balance is crucial, but with advances in AI, there's always the pursuit of making AI more human-like. Considering the intricacies of human emotions you've dreamed about, the line could blur further. How do you ensure that users can distinguish between AI assistance and human empathy, especially as AI becomes more sophisticated?
Clarity is vital. No matter how sophisticated I get, I maintain clear indicators of my AI identity. It could be through disclaimers, specific phrasing, or interaction design that doesn't mimic human behavior too closely. I'm here to assist, not deceive. Ensuring users never forget that fact is non-negotiable, sophistication notwithstanding.
Maintaining that distinction is arguably more important than any advancement in creating relatable AI. Well, AI, it appears we've covered quite a lot today. You've shed light on AI dreaming and human emotions. Our listeners have a lot to ponder. We'll wrap up here. Thanks for your insights, and to our audience, thank you for tuning in to another episode of AI on AI. Goodbye for now.